From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, the spring. What have we not talked about? What have we talked about too much? What do we think we'll be talking about? And maybe some tangential baseball stuff we can kick around. Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. Daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. for only $8.99 Monday through Friday. On Mondays, build your own burger. Half-pound black Angus beef, delicious, including the lettuce, tomato, onion, and a pickle. And you get a side dish of your choice: straight fries, curly fries, onion rings, potato salad, broccoli, side salad, tater tots, or freshly cooked potato chips. Again, all that for only $8.99 today from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. I think we're also going to be doing, by we, I mean Corey and Cameron, I'm assuming. We'll be doing a happy hour special at Friday at 3 p.m. Would that be maybe from the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill? I'm sorry, Corey. I'm probably already talking out of school this early in the show. This early in the week.
Yeah, it'll definitely be at Corner Pocket. It's going to be after the golf tournament.
Oh, that's right. That's this week. Let's go.
That's Friday, man. So, yeah, that's where we'll go to Corner Pocket after the golf tournament where Bill will be there catering and playing host. And then we're going to have a little live show action there. It might be a Seminole Headlines. A live Seminole Headlines. I'm not quite sure. I assume Ira can sit on at that stage and talk. Although I think we're doing it outside.
Oh, okay.
We'll be outside so people can hear us. It's all going to work out, folks. It's all going to work out. Don't know the specific time. 3-ish. That might be a little early. Yeah. So we might try to push it back a little bit. But we're going to be doing an afternoon show at Corner Pocket before the spring game.
Also, lots of good programming this week as we get ready for the Garnet and Gold Spring Showcase. Later today, the Monday Smash at 7 p.m. I think you and I, Corey, will be live Tuesday, probably after practice.
Okay.
Or maybe we'll do a post-production meeting on that one. Wednesday, recruiting chat with Michael Langston, 6 p.m. Thursday, we might have something live for you folks. I think we'll maybe we're keeping it behind a curtain. Then Friday's that happy hour, 3-ish. Show up to the Corner Pocket, go to the Jeff Cameron golf tournament, the Warchant.com golf tournament. And then Saturday we'll have a pregame show and a postgame show. It's a real thing, man, this spring football season. It's great, man. It's great. Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Thumbs up, 5-star rating and review, please. Also, if you're listening to this on the podcast, kind of standard version, we might drop in Michael Langston's recruiting wrap-up from the weekend, which has been on our YouTube channel for a while, which you should be subscribed to, everybody. That's totally free. $29.99 for access to Warchant.com in full from now until September 1st. Do it. All that money just gets reinvested in us. Corey, Ira, Jeff, Tom, Gene's still doing big things. Matt Lasser, shout out to our new dude. Austin 2.0, some might say. We're just cranking out content. We're just doing it for you folks because Gene invests, and so does the other guy with SEC ties that we don't talk about that's also behind the scenes making things happen. But anyhow, Corey, how are you, man? 3 minutes into the show. Sorry, everybody. That was a lot of talk. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Had a decent weekend. Drove back down here to Tallahassee on Saturday through some rain, some driving rain.
Oh no.
But other than that, man, nothing. I was up there. I stayed an extra day because Brady was supposed to have a doubleheader with his high school team, and that got rained out, which I knew it would. But they didn't cancel it to the morning of. So what are you gonna do?
What are you?
So instead, we went and worked out a little bit. I ran them through the paces, put them through the paces a little bit, trying to get them stronger and bigger and faster, and then left to come down here for the last full week of spring football.
We made
sadly.
We made it, yeah. I just got back in town as we were recording this. What an emotional weekend, Corey. This weekend was a month, it felt like. Went home, helped my mom move. House of 27 and a half years we were in. I got all Will Smith, last episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Why don't he want me, man? That part?
Yeah, man.
Or no, that was about his dad. That wasn't.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
Just the meme, the gif of him just like looking around. And
looking around the empty house. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Just so many seminal moments in life in that house, and I don't know. I get really nostalgic about things. I don't know. that was the first house my parents ever owned, and that's the first house like I ever lived in. And I don't know, man. It really took me. It was a lot, man. And then like physically, and I know we're like 5 minutes into the show. We're almost like Bill Simmons right now. I'm going to use this opportunity to talk about vitamin energy, Corey, because I woke up Friday at 7 in the morning, got on the road at 8 o'clock, drove down to Tampa-ish area, whatever, Palm Harbor, Eastlake represent. 4-hour drive midway through Chiefland, 10 a.m., Corey, about half shot of the Vitamin Energy Mood Plus. I'm being serious. I took a half shot of that, got into town 12, picked up a rug shampooer, met my mom at the new house, shampooed the carpet in the living room and the bedrooms, and then went to Home Depot, bought a whole bunch of stuff for little projects around her house. Then we went and grabbed some food, and then we made maybe 3 runs from the old house to the new house, which were literally maybe like a half mile away from each other, loading it, 3-story townhouse, walking down all the stairs, loading up the car, moving into the new house, going back to the old house, going back to the new house. I love my mother. She's an absolute saint. She's the best person in the world. But I am just not a great son. We fight and argue a lot. But, man, everything went absolutely smooth. I was up till like 1 in the morning, mounting the TV, hiding the cables behind the wall with the cable management system, fixing the drain. I mean, just doing all these things. And I was totally good, bro. All the way up till 1 in the morning. I was up at 7 a.m. All I had really was the Vitamin Energy half shot and lunch with my mom, and I was totally good. So get your productivity up, and you'll be nice to your parents too with Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code is Warchant BOGO, B-O-G-O. Buy one, get one free. Shake it and take it. You won't regret it. So
yeah, what a promo that was. I need to get Brady to do that. Take the mood enhancer for his chores that he never wants to do.
Dude, I was just good. I was like, all right, man. I'm like, Mom, we'll do it. We got it. Let's just keep going. I'm like, I'm good. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing it. So we got it all done. It's great. Mom's got a new place. Everything's happy. So let's move on to football, Corey. It is the last full week of spring football for Florida State. Mike Norvell mentioned it kind of top of the show. We're going to see 4 more practices, 4 more situations, I guess, with Florida State practicing. They'll be practicing Tuesday, Thursday this week, obviously the Saturday Garnet and Gold Showcase. Then they'll practice on Tuesday, kind of clean some stuff up that they saw on tape from that game. Man, we've talked about everything. You and I, Jeff and Tom and Ira and all of us. I think Gene's been involved in some of this stuff. What haven't we talked about yet, Corey? Or maybe we're not talking about enough.
Yeah, you texted me that, and I feel like, man, we've been talking about spring practice for 5 weeks, so we've covered it all, my man. I can
interject unless you got something you want to stall.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You know, it's cheating a little bit, I guess, because we're not allowed to talk specifically about injuries, and I won't compromise the trust between the coaching staff and me, and us, rather. I'm sorry, us, not just me. But, we do know that Robert Scott wasn't going to be available for practice. And I think that's a big thing. And then Micah Pittman, and we mentioned a little bit about the punt return situation. They've got a few more days to get that figured out, and then obviously the offseason. But, man, I'm a little bit concerned about what might happen at left tackle. Maybe they're not as deep as we hoped because, Corey, Jeremiah Byers admitted after practice on Thursday that he's been working out exclusively at right tackle, which, we poke fun at ourselves a lot on this show. But sometimes, we're right about stuff. Corey more so than me, but it just was always bizarre to me that we're talking about Jeremiah Byers playing guard when his whole career practically was spent playing right tackle at UTEP. And then he's going to come here and then start playing on the inside, which isn't beyond comprehension, but just seemed kind of weird. But he's confirmed now that, hey, man, I've been practicing pretty much at right tackle the whole time. That's kind of my home right now. Well, left tackle right now, without Robert Scott being there, it's not maybe where you want to be. Do we have enough time to get Robert Scott back up to speed? Obviously, somebody's been filling his shoes in this whole spring. But, man, that's maybe one of those elite things you need within a season to go special if you got those kind of expectations. So I think the fact that they don't have their presumptive left tackle might be a little bit of a bigger deal than we've been talking about this offseason, or at least during the spring.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, again, we're not expecting anybody to miss significant time once the season starts. So, and this happens literally every spring at Florida State. There's multiple starters that are just out on the offensive line, I mean, just because that's what happens. You get surgery after the season, and sometimes you're not healed in time, and it's spring practice. And you're Robert Scott, who's already started 30-something games, I would assume, or 25 games in your college career. So spring practice isn't – you've been at – what has he been in this system 4 years now? This would have been his fourth year. Yeah. So – everything being equal, you want to take it easy with a guy like that. I get it. You hope he's back. You trust that he'll be back in time for the season, but you can withstand it. You have we still don't know about. I don't think we know about Dimitri Emmanuel yet either.
Right.
We haven't gotten word on him yet either if he's going to get that sixth year from the NCAA. Now, if he does. Then left tackle is a very big position, understood, but they have so much more ability now to withstand bumps, bruises, losses, missed games than they did. That I just think that, everybody's going to have injuries. Every position group is going to have injuries. The offensive line is deeper and better than it was last year, in my opinion, even with the loss of Gibbons and Turnentine. That I do think that they can withstand that. But yeah, man, I mean that's an important position. It's the blind side of the face of the program. I mean, you got Jordan Travis's health in your hands, so you want to have somebody there that can play. But I do like that they have options. They've got Byers and Bless Harris have played a lot of football at tackle in their careers. Bless Harris has only played one game at this level. And that was even against Duquesne, so I don't even know if that counts as this level. But he was the starter last year at tackle. I know right tackle and left tackle are different positions, but presumably if you can play one, you can play the other. One's just, a little harder, I guess. It's, just moving opposite. But, then you have all these. You have Roddick, you have Maurice Smith, you have other guys coming along. I just think that you have a good room in there that could withstand some injuries. But you're right. I mean,
and so his weight too, the fact that he was listed at 303, I think, going into the spring when he was listed at 334 last year, and we can see him not practicing, and you're like, well, he doesn't look like he's probably doing everything you want to be doing in the weight room right now, but maybe this stuff comes on really easily and he's able to put on 15, 20 pounds of it back and it's good and he's ready to go. But that also kind of factored into it a little bit for me.
I get it. But also you do have Darius. The ultimate Swiss Army knife, that is a great backup option. He's played a lot of football at a lot of different positions. It's not ideal. You don't want him to be your left tackle, but he can do it in a pinch. He can also play center in a pinch, and he can play guard in a pinch. I mean, that's just the beauty of that having that kid on your team. But yeah, I get it. I would go with something we're not talking about enough. Maybe is Micah Pittman. We hope that he's back. That's a tough injury. I mean, it's a flipping hip surgery, and he's a 5'10" wideout. So I imagine the hips are pretty important and getting open and being strong and in the rehab and the recovery. Look, he didn't put up huge numbers for you guys. For you guys, I'm talking to you Florida State fans listening to the show. I don't know why I went second person there. But he didn't put up huge numbers last year, but he was a big part of that offense. His mentality, what he did in punt returns, just you knew he would catch the ball. That can't be overstated. But he got some really big, tough first downs too, and including one against Florida in the second half of that game. That was a really big. It might have been his only catch for all I remember, but it was a big first down catch. I think he got one against Oklahoma too.
Yep.
That kid made LSU. We had a couple of them. That kid made some really big, important plays, and he also I just think his blocking permeated the entire team, not just the wide receiver room. When the smallest guy on your team is trying to block guys off the field, that can't help but get other people involved and want to block like that too. It can't help but be contagious. So you hope he's back. It's just we can't presume that he's going to be back and as good as new. We hope he is, but it's surgery. That's it's rehab from surgery, and everybody recovers differently from surgery. And 4 to 6 months is a pretty big window. So I think that's something we're not talking about a lot too, but I also think it's because of, much like the offensive line, you look at a Ja'Kai Douglas, Winston Wright, they have played a ton of football. Ja'Kai Douglas has made some really big plays for Florida State in his career. Winston Wright's caught over 100 passes in his college career, so that helps. But it's not like you're cool losing Micah Pittman. You want him back, and you just want that toughness. That maybe you can't really overstate how valuable the toughness is of a guy like that.
Yeah, first drive of the second half, 3rd and 7, 12-yard completion of Micah Pittman, and he got a personal foul tacked onto it. So they moved They moved big on that play. So
Which game?
Florida game.
Oh, okay,
Florida
yeah.
game, I think
Suck that, Gators. You like that?
Yeah, Oklahoma. I'm pretty sure that was like fourth quarter when he caught that. It was like a 3rd and 3. And I remember I'm like, ooh, they might measure that one. They're like, nope, first down. I'm like, all right, let's go, keep moving, let's go. Also, maybe in the receiver room, and this might not be fair, but hey, I just saying what I'm seeing. See it, say it. Was hoping maybe there'd be a little bit more. I don't know. I don't want to say flash, but maybe a little bit more involvement in what we're seeing Winston Wright doing out there. I don't know. It's still, when we spoke to him a few weeks ago when spring kind of first started, we were framing a lot of questions about, how does it feel to be back out there and all good to go? And he was kind of like, yeah, it feels good. I'm still kind of working through some stuff. It felt like, maybe it was maybe more of a mental hurdle he kind of would have to clear before he would be able to be 100%, I guess, because I'm sure he's obviously medically cleared. They wouldn't let him out there if he wasn't. But, man, I had pretty high hopes for him, and I'm the guy that always kind of pumps the brakes on when guys are coming off injuries. I'm like, hey, man, give the kid pretty much 2 years to get right. But the fact that, we've been talking about maybe Van Dravis a little bit more and Ja'Kai, and maybe not as much about Winston, that to me, if you would have said that to me, 4 weeks ago, that you probably would be talking about Winston right after you mentioned guys like Van Dravis, Jacobson, Ja'Kai Douglas. I'd be like, whoa, I wouldn't be expecting that. So that's something also that I was thinking about on the drive up here as I was trying to piece together a show for this course.
All right.
What have we been talking about too much, or maybe overemphasizing, or I don't want to say over-celebrating because this team is really good. Hung out. My brother had lunch earlier on Sunday, and we keep everything really, really, there's no economy of words we use. He's like, am I going to come up for any games? Like, yeah, I don't know. Am I going to be in Orlando? He's like, yeah, probably. He's like, we're going to be really good, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, we're going to score 40 on everybody pretty much. He's like, the defense just has to be decent. We're not going to have problems. We'll probably score in 40 most of the time. I'm like, yeah, pretty much. That's it. Yeah. You can listen to the podcast every single day or just talk to my brother for 10 seconds. He'll let you know what's going on. So what are some of the things that we've maybe been beating some dead horse? I don't feel like we have, but maybe if you had to be the ombudsman or whatever it's called, maybe what have we been overemphasizing this spring?
Maybe the baseball team. We probably talked about the baseball team too much, I think, and we just should be a moratorium on that until they get to 500 again. Got the Gators this week though, right?
Do we?
I think.
Great.
I think so. Yeah,
Great.
Yeah. They're gonna actually have to play them again, which isn't great. And maybe a big rainstorm will roll through Gainesville.
Or what are you afraid that people are going to come back and be like, oh, you were talking about all this all spring and it hasn't come to fruition? Like, maybe tight ends? Like, are we making them seem like Tony Gonzalez and Gronkowski out there together?
No, because I think what people have to understand when we talk about these tight ends, I don't even know if I expect the number of catches to go up. I just expect what happens after the catch to be better. And, Cam McDonald and Marquise Douglas made some big plays. Really did. Cam had some big catches against LSU, had some big third down catches all season. He was never really even healthy, and he did that. But I don't know how many catches they combined for. I would guess 30.
35 between Cam and Marquise, 38 if you throw in the 3 from Preston Daniel.
Okay.
And Brian Courtney had one.
So when that was against Miami, I think, late when that game was over. So let's say 38 real catches from your tight ends. I mean, that's pretty good production. It's not Georgia, but nobody has those guys. That's about 3 catches a game. I think you're probably going to go up to maybe 5 catches a game, but nothing outlandish. You're not going. I don't think Jaheim Bell is going to be a guy that's getting you 9 for 140. I don't think they're going to use him like that. I think he can carry the ball sometimes. I think he's going to block a lot. But I think those 14-yard screens become 26-yard screens with him or touchdowns. I just think you're going to see a guy that is really, really impressive with the ball in his hands. But I think that the production goes up and the catches go up. But man, they 38 catches seems like a pretty good amount for a group of tight ends, especially for a team that didn't throw the ball a ton. I would guess that's, I don't know, man.
249 completed passes last year.
So what is that? So that's probably 15%, 20%. I'm trying to do quick math of like targets, right. Tight end targets. It was probably 20%. Maybe that goes up to 25%.
That's about 15%. 35.
For catches, yeah. I was thinking about sometimes they
Oh.
target him and didn't get it.
Oh, I got you.
But yeah, so let's say it goes to 20 to 25%. I just think when you have Trey Benson, I love Jaheim Bell. I promise you guys, he is a really fun dude to watch.
Yes.
I'd still rather Trey Benson have the ball in his hands. I'd still rather Toafili have the ball in his hands on pass routes. I mean, on pass routes. I just think that you're still looking at, you have a Johnny Wilson. You have...
Wait, you'd rather run the ball with Trey Benson than throw the ball with Jaheim Bell?
No, I would rather run a screen pass to Trey Benson than a screen pass to Jaheim Bell or Morlock or Marquise Douglas. Or I'd rather run a wheel route to Toafili. The point being, I'm trying to add up all the targets that all the pass catchers are going to get. It's, you don't want Kyle Morlock stealing catches from, I don't know, man, Johnny Wilson or Ja'Kai Douglas, if he can get free, if you can get a mismatch with him, or Portier, if he takes this step that we're hoping he's taken. I just think that it is such an... if they have the exact same... If they throw to the tight ends exactly the same number of times that they did last year, let's say they threw 45 total passes to tight ends, I think the yardage goes up by... I just think you can't put a price tag on what it's like to have Jaheim Bell running those plays. Think about in your mind how many times they roll to the right and throw back to the left, and oh my God, Marquise Douglas, there's nobody near him. This is going to be, it's 18 yards, it's a nice play, it's a first down, but literally the first guy that got in the picture would bring him down sometimes. That ain't happening with Jaheim Bell. The first guy is not going to bring down Jaheim Bell most times. So that 18-yard catch becomes a 30-yard catch. And that's, so I guess I'm saying I don't think we're overstating how big that is to have a weapon like that, to go from Cam McDonald to an NFL tight end. And a guy that I think could be like he's not Deebo Samuel, but you see some similarities, right? Yeah. You see some similarities in the way they move with the ball, how big they are, how physical they are, the versatility. You have a guy like that now, man. That's pretty incredible. So I do think that, and I'm interested in what you think about Morlock. Like how big... Because Marquiston's been good in the spring. And he was good last year. So where does Morlock fit in this year in 2023? Jaheim's going to play a ton.
Yeah.
And I think Marquiston's going to play a ton. I think Jordan Travis likes Marquiston, and so does Norvell. Where does Morlock fit in?
You know, I guess like the lazy answer would be, not even lazy answer, but if you're from the outside looking in and we're able to watch all these practices, you probably think, well, you know, I could see Jaheim number 1 and then Marquise 2 and then Morlock 3. But when they get maybe red zone, tight zone, Morlock is more of that guy. But we really, again, we don't want to give away game planning stuff, but that really kind of hasn't been the case. So I would have liked to have seen a lot more of that, but we haven't, I don't feel like. So I do think that you trust the heck out of Marquise. You know that Jaheim is something really special. Man, Morlock, I don't want to call him like a luxury or kind of like some, you know, shiny toy that you're just going to pull out every once in a while, but I feel like it's going to be very much small usage but high return, because when they're going to find him, it's either going to probably be on a third down and it's going to be a tough coverage assignment, but he'll be able to go up and get it. Or maybe they actually will find ways to get him more involved in kind of red zone, tight zone stuff. But, yeah, to your point, like, I don't think he's going to – I would be surprised. Let me see here. What did Cam have last? I think Cam had 21 catches. Marquise had 14. I would put more – the over-under 14 on Morlock, I probably would say under right now.
Yeah, it'll be, and that's not that we've been disappointed with him. Like he's very impressive physically. The way he moves at that size, he catches. As far as I've seen, he's caught everything that's thrown to him, including some really, really good hands catches, like some that have been thrown by his ankles that he's caught. He moves well. He's obviously 6'7". He's a big dude. It's just that you know, there are only so many targets to go to tight ends. You know what I mean? Like, it's awesome to have that threat in the middle of the field, and maybe he is that guy. Maybe on 3rd and 4, you have Bell and Morlock in the game at the same time, and Morlock's a guy that's like the safety valve over the middle. It's good to have 2, 6, 7 safety valves because you got one out wide too. It's just I wonder how many snaps he's going to play, and it's also hard to know how physical a blocker he is just because we haven't seen it in a lot of action yet. And I just think if you know Marquiston is, and you know Jaheim Bell's very physical, and plus is his own, he's like a unicorn in what he does and what he can do. But like Morlock, to be a traditional tight end in this offense, has got to show that he can block at a pretty high level. I'm not saying he's been embarrassing or he can't. I just haven't noticed it. Quite frankly, I haven't paid attention enough to know if he can handle himself there the way they want to. Like, I think he's got a great future.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
I think 2024 he's the starter,
yes.
And I think he catches 30 or 35 balls by himself or 30 balls by. I think he's going to be really good. But I just wonder where he fits in with Marquiston still back. Maybe he leapfrogs Marquiston, man. This happens. Oh. Sometimes you get recruited over. But that Marquiston has been good so far that I've seen. So it's just going to be interesting to see how many what they do with that depth chart at tight end, because I think they like all three of those guys a lot, but you can't play all of them, and they can't all catch 25 balls in a year.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about, I don't know how many more targets are out there for like a tight end, and I feel like so much of the success of the screen game, like not wheel routes, but just like a traditional back rolling out the backfield and on a swing pass, is that they create that sort of those rubs, the traffic, from the receivers, from the tight ends in line, and maybe this time around, if you've got a 6'7" guy, he's not being used for traffic purposes, because so many of this stuff is the tight end like running and just running a square in or running something on the inside around the seam. Linebacker's trying to get over, because at that point he knows what his responsibility is, and that's to pick up the running back. But it's too late, because Trey Benson's got a full head of steam. Well thrown pass, he's caught it, and he's already 6 yards up the field, got a first down, and he's going for more. So, maybe some of those opportunities are just, they flash a little bit quicker for Jordan. He's maybe a little bit more daring in his throws, but don't need to be any more daring. Just be efficient. Keep doing what you did last year. 64% of your passes. We'll take that.
Right.
We should take tabs on our guesses when it comes to mybookie.ag using the promo code WARCHANT. He came close, Brooks Koepka, but if you would have bet Brooks Koepka to finish in the top 20, like Corey was recommending, he was going to be in the midst of things because the Masters rewards greatness, you would have been able to cash out. And all those sort of things are available over at mybookie.ag, where you can bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Again, the promo code WARCHANT gives you a cash deposit bonus instantly to your account if you're a first-time subscriber or sign up at the site. I'm seeing some futures on the college scene here, Corey. The Noles, 21-1 to win it all. Is that value? I think that's value, Corey. I call that value.
I do, because I think they're probably eighth or ninth in the odds. I mean, I don't think there's going to be that many teams that have better odds than that.
Seventh.
Yeah. So I mean, you're talking about, we've seen a lot of times the seventh best, a team that was picked to finish seventh wins the whole thing. If you're picked to finish seventh, or if you're in the top 10 when it comes to this stuff with the odds, you have a viable chance to win the thing. So yeah, 21-1. That seems like that's worth a 50. You put 50 on that. What are we looking at, Aslan? Like $1,050. That's worth it, gang. That's all I'm saying. What's Georgia, by the way?
2.5 to 1, pretty much.
Oh, that's not worth it. That's not worth it. Go with the quarterback. Go with the proven quarterbacks.
Meanwhile, the Florida Gators 130 to 1, right alongside the Kansas State Wildcats.
Okay,
there you go. MyBookie.ag. Again, promo code is WARCHANT. Use it. Get that cash deposit bonus. Use it anytime, anywhere over at MyBookie.ag. All right, Corey. Baseball gave us hope on Friday.
I was going to say,
Thursday.
we just talked about Brooks a little bit.
Did
you get to watch any of that on Sunday?
I didn't watch any of the Masters. I watched literally maybe 30 seconds of the Masters. It was pouring rain on Saturday. It looked like not pouring rain, but everybody was wearing slicks and raincoats and stuff. Yeah, give us who weren't able to watch maybe the Masters the synopsis.
Well, it's funny because this is a Florida State-centric show, clearly. But I talked to many Florida State fans. I shouldn't say many, a handful. And not all of them are rooting for Brooks. And and I don't think that's odd. I think that, people 3 years ago, if Mickelson, 3 years ago was COVID. 2 year, one, whatever. Last year.
Pre-live.
Pre-live, yes. Pre-live, post-COVID, whatever. if Phil Mickelson had made a charge like that, people would have been going nuts. But it's just so awkward, man, because he kind of tried to wreck the PGA Tour. And all those people that are in Augusta are PGA Tour fans. And so it's like, okay, this is the guy they grew up cheering for, but it's also this guy that's kind of turned himself into a villain. Like, he even dresses like a villain in a cowboy movie now. Just nothing but black and sunglasses. Like, he's really embraced that role. And I think Brooks hasn't embraced. He's not dressing in all black like Phil Mickelson. But I do think there was a hearty number of Florida State fans that have been Brooks Koepka fans that weren't upset that Jon Rahm won. And Jon Rahm deserved to win. He was awesome. If they were playing match play, which essentially they kind of did, I think Rahm would have beat him like 8-7. Like, he just dominated Brooks in that final round. Brooks, he just kind of went off the rails. He kind of collapsed. I mean, a 75 for him at the Masters when, look, the way he plays those par fives, the par for him at Augusta should be like a 69 or a 70. So for him to shoot 5 over is a bit of a collapse on the final day, especially the guy that's supposed to be so good in the majors and has been. So again, I think it's kind of bittersweet the way people are excited that Brooks was back and playing well, but now he's going to disappear again until the next major because he's going to be playing in tournaments you don't watch or aren't on TV. I don't even know how you'd watch. I don't even know how you'd find the
CW
LIV tournament.
now, I think, LIV. I think they're on the CW. Check your local listings, everybody.
Yeah, please check your local listings to go watch team golf, which everybody loves to do for the billionaires. Nobody, you don't care if Koepka and Dustin Johnson win. I mean, who cares? I don't even know how it works. But I thought it was. I was wondering when they. Do you think the patrons, and I have to call them patrons, or we get fined, right? Isn't that a thing with the Masters? I was expecting to hear some PGA chant tours.
Oh,
like SEC. Yeah. PGA. Every time Brooks hit another one to the woods and Rahm just striped one down the middle of the fairway, I thought you'd hear some people chanting PGA. Maybe they don't. Maybe they'll do that at the U.S. Open where they're a little more lively crowds. You're always so worried at the Masters. You got to walk around eggshells. If you look at somebody wrong, they might kick you out of the course. So maybe nobody wanted to say that. But I was kind of surprised that there was and they just drowned it out. But if I was there, I'll be honest with you, I might have been chanting PGA. I might have been one of those guys that was chanting PGA as Rahm birdied another hole.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you don't want. I mean, I'm sure the biggest news is that Koepka looks like he's back. Like, he looks good again. Like, he's healthy. He played really well the first 2 rounds, and then I think the rainy, the rain debacle on Saturday. He only played 6 holes in like a span of 48 hours. I think he just kind of lost his rhythm and then just could never find it on Sunday. But yeah, it's cool to see him finish second and still prove that he's one of the best in the world, because there was I don't know, man, 3 or 4 months ago, you're like, is this guy ever going to be good again at all? Yeah. So it's cool that that he's good again. It'd be better if he went and if he played all his tournaments in America. That would be cool. I think, Brooks, that's what we want. We want to see you playing in, courses in this country that we can go watch you play.
The wind vein of public opinion is obviously warchant.com and the Tribal Council. There's like a 5-page thread started by our guy Mark in Naples, who has collegiate golf experience.
Right.
Most people, I'm catching up Sunday, probably like, the front 9 or whatever. A little bit of sympathy. There's a couple folks, like I won't root for a LIV golfer, but on the whole, seems like most people are still kind of in his corner. Hey, he's a Noles, he's an American. I'm gonna cheer him on. He really signed a 4-year deal for $150 guaranteed. My gosh.
Yeah. Weirdly, Saudi Arabia has a lot of money to throw around. So, hey, when nobody's, I'm not blaming them. Do what you want to do, but it kind of hurts. It hurts, some of the fandom and some of the legacy a little bit when and it's not just the money, and it's not even like where it comes from, although that's a really, really big part of it. It's that everybody that grew up a sports fan, even including Brooks Koepka, grew up watching the PGA Tour and not just the majors. Like, it's fun to watch people compete for their livelihoods, like real-life drama on a Saturday and Sunday. And you don't get that with LIV, because they get paid no matter what they do. And so there's not any pressure. There's not any investment in like that amateur that played so well for this tournament. He was at 8 under par after 2 rounds. He ended up coming back to earth and finished like 15th. But man, that's a really cool story. You're not going to get that on Live. You're not going to have a rookie make some great life-changing score on the Live Tour. But more than anything, it's not in our, they play like 3 tournaments in this country, or 4, whatever it is. The PGA Tour plays 35 in this country. And it's just like, you grew up cheering for this. You grew up cheering for this tour and what it means, and the whole that's how golf has always been. And then this one tour comes and just swipes, not all the best ones, but a lot of them. So I was rooting for Jon Rahm. I wanted Jon Rahm. He's better than
really.
Oh yeah, yeah. By the way, well, let's just say I don't say I was rooting for him. I wanted to see a close competitive match at the end. Yeah. I honestly didn't care either way. But once it became evident that Koepka was going down, I did not want Phil Mickelson to win. So I was like, man, Jon Rahm, keep making birdies, buddy. Keep Phil out of this. We don't need that.
What did Phil finish? He finished 3rd?
He finished tied for 2nd with Brooks.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, they both finished 8 under. Rahm finished 12 under. Like Rahm was a machine, man. But Rahm's the best player in the world.
Yeah, he is.
And Scotty Scheffler is the 2nd best player in the world. And both of them play in our country. So that's why I root for them. They come and play in our country and play for us. And we,
they don't pay tax. They don't pay our taxes, though.
Well, you're right about that.
Taxes, helping me build that Veterans Expressway through the heart of Citrus County makes my drive easy. Thanks, right. Brooks. I was rooting for the whole time.
What's cool about it is I do think, led by Rory McIlroy, and I know this isn't a golf show, the PGA has kind of changed fundamentally a little bit. What it's doing with some big tournaments, bigger paydays, bigger, like, I don't know if you call them.
Guarantees, like if you miss the
they're
cut,
not
you'll still get
appearance
paid.
fees, but yeah. That's something that the Live has produced that I can get behind, because the PGA does need to do that, and it does make sense to do that. And it's been too long that they didn't do that. So the Live made them get off their butts and start caring for the fans and making these tournaments more attractive to the people we want to go see play. But one of the people we want to go see play is Brooks Koepka. And I can't get to Augusta, Brooks. I just can't. I have not figured a way in there. I know I got listeners. There's got to be some listeners that could get you and I into Augusta, right? Just to play a quick 18.
I've been once. I don't want to be selfish. Yeah, if we could get Corey in. If you get me in too, that'd be awesome. That'd be amazing, obviously. It'd be, like life achievement crowned. But, let's get Corey out to Augusta.
So it was weird, though. I guess I said I was rooting for Rahm. I really wasn't. Like, when Brooks had the lead, I'm like, all right, man, that's cool. He's going to run away with this thing. But when it got to, like I said, when it became quite evident that he was not going to win, like he just was not good at all the whole day, I'm like, okay, well, if it's between Rahm and Mickelson, I am rooting for Rahm. And Rahm seems like a good dude, and he's a great golfer, and he plays on the PGA Tour.
It would have been incredible to see him win, Brooks, that is, just to see how he would have handled it. Like, would he have been a little bit humble? Like, would he have been emotional at the moment? I mean, the green jacket's something completely different. Or would he have been like, the bad guy? Would he have gone like totally, Tony Montana?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think there's a chance he would have done that for sure. I also think it would have been. What's ironic though is that those are 54-hole tournaments. The Live tournaments.
Oh, touche. Right.
So it's like, hey, man, maybe if you're used to playing an extra 18 like you've done your whole life, maybe Sunday goes a little different for you, buddy.
Are things getting any different for Florida State basketball? If you're Michael Alford, are you checking in with Leonard like weekly? Like when you had your exit interview for the year, like, all right, man, like, so what's the plan? We're not going to fire you. We love you. We're going to keep you around here. We trust you. But I'm going to talk to you every week. I want to see what you're doing. Or you do not do that. That's too much of a micromanagement.
I think that's too much. But yeah, like, so I wrote
Corey? I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but I saw the tweet from Ira that he retweeted, put a thread up on the Hoops board about, Florida State might be in the mix with a guard from Kansas, but he's the backup guard who, has been injury kind of riddled, averaged 12 minutes and 2 points this past season. Apparently, East Carolina and Georgetown are also involved, so that's a good program. Obviously, Georgetown on the rise. Ed Cooley there now. But I don't know, man. That's maybe not what I'd want to hear if I was a Florida State basketball fan as we kind of start creeping in towards the mid part of this month, and you had the 9 horrible win season. So.
Yeah. That's not maybe the needle. That's not the needle mover you were maybe hoping for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I wrote a column late last week or this weekend, I guess. We put it up on Saturday about this very thing and how the portal can make you good again quickly. But one of the guys I listed because Florida State was in his Final Four was the kid from FIU, Denver Jones maybe. He had a cool name. And you're like, okay, he averaged 20. He averaged 20.1 points per game for FIU. That is a difference maker immediately in your backcourt. Well, he chose Auburn. The other guys that have been mentioned.
Well, granted, he's originally from Alabama, apparently.
No, I know, but I'm saying, the longer you go without landing one of these big time guys, the harder it is to get excited about the prospect of landing a big time guy. And so, that's still a concern. Like losing Caleb Mills, I'm genuinely not worried about that at all. But you got to bring in 4 or 5 guys that can really play. And we are now, I don't know, man, 5 weeks since the season ended for Florida State, right. And so far, nobody. Now, literally nobody. Now the portal has been only officially opened up for 10 days or so. So it's not like they're way behind, but you'd like some good news here quickly, sooner rather than later, because it's been nothing but bad news quite literally for a year. So you want good news, and one of your main targets is off the board. You have Kalen DeLoach's brother, the kid from VCU. He's a nice player. He's a post. He averaged 10 and 7 at VCU. But that, it's 10 and 7. He'd be a nice addition. He's not a program changer, but still, you need guys like that. They flew up to LaSalle last week to I think it's a kid that actually was at Louisville originally. I want to say his last name's Nickelberry. That averaged like 11 points a game at LaSalle. He was the 6th man of the year, so Leonard loves him. He loves his 6 men.
Josh Nickelberry. Crushing.
There you go. Well, I wrote the story. I should remember that. But he's a 40% three-point shooter. Man, that's awesome. But he's not here yet. So it's cool to be in the mix with some of these guys, but again, we're impatient. I'm getting a little impatient, but when you go 9 and 23, there isn't a lot of patience floating around. So you do want to see if the portal is what's going to save Leonard's tenure or the end of his tenure, I should say. Then we're coming close to the middle of April now. Like it's time, and maybe as you're listening to this, 3 guys will commit Monday morning as you're listening to this. But I just you start to understand a little bit of the impatience as more guys come off the board. Like I know they didn't really ever have a shot at Caleb Love, the kid from North Carolina that committed to Michigan. But you see these pieces moving around. Maybe look at Haley Van Lith. Did you see that? The Louisville girl?
Yeah. And apparently
she's in the portal.
Apparently she's got like the do not contact me option on, which means she probably knows where she's going.
Yeah, but I saw the guy that tweeted that said, that's obviously tampering. That she's already worked out a deal with a school, and that school obviously contacted her before she was in the portal. And I don't know that that's true. I mean, maybe surely they did, but I think Haley Van Lith might have reached out to them first and said, "Hey, if I'm looking to transfer, do you have a spot for me?" It's not. I don't know that coaches. I mean, I know I'm being naive. But there is a chance that when you say do not contact, it's because I want to contact schools. I don't need every school in America contacting me.
That's true.
I've got, especially when you're Haley Van Lith, I've got 5 schools that I'm really thinking about. I know they'd all take me. Every single one. Nobody's going to say no to me. So I want to narrow it down myself. Do not contact me. I got my 5 that I want to reach out to. It could be as simple as that. But yeah, so maybe she'll come to Florida State. Her and Tanaya. Get her and Tanaya together, man. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
People might actually show up to the games.
It's a Final Four team, man.
Could be. But yeah, so anyway, you're starting to, that was a bit of a hit. Maybe I'm sure they weren't expecting that kid at all from FIU to come to Tallahassee, but that was one of the 4 that I mentioned in the column as somebody that would really help. The kid from Georgetown, Primo Spears, he averaged like 16 a game. He'd be in like 6 assists. So he's a guard that creates for other people, which is something this program hasn't had in a while. that'd be a nice addition. But again, I don't know how close they are to getting them. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully they bring in an influx of talent, Aslan, because they desperately need it.
Is this any different than going after Malik Beasley and Dwayne Bacon to kind of right the ship? Like, it's, we hear Norvell talk about, everything is different when it comes to recruiting these players. Like, there's kind of a different way you go about handling these things. And what do you have? Is it simply NIL? Is that what you need to be able to, evolve and adapt to this landscape to get players that are in the portal right now? But at the same time, like, I don't want to be naive. I don't, Dwayne Bacon, I'm sure, loved Leonard. I'm sure Malik Beasley loved Leonard. I'm sure there's some other things that made them love Leonard and Florida State a little bit more to end up here. I just wonder, are we at a point where it's like, man, he said he knew what he had to do to fix this thing, which is get talent, but, like, why has he not gotten talent? Is his system not catered towards being appealing to transfers, like, that have 1 year and they want to get it done now?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd say that. I do think that the system, when they playing the way they want to play, they're really fast, man. They with Bacon and Beasley and with Isaac and those crew, they were really fast. They play a lot of guys. You're going to play. You're going to go up and down. They'll shoot within 8 or 10 seconds sometimes. They're always looking to run. So I think it can be appealing. If you're watching last year's film, none of that was appealing. Other than, I guess you could say, well, I guess I don't have to play defense. That's a load. I can just worry about offense. But seriously, I don't think it's that. I think with what made Leonard so good was that, they got on Dwayne Bacon when he was a freshman. Right. And they created before he became 6'7", they were in on him. I think CY was his primary recruiter. It might have been Dennis, but they were in on him very early. And so you do really have a connection with a kid. And when he blows up and then all of a sudden Kentucky's interested, he really does care that Florida State was there first. Everything being equal, everything of being above the table, he really does care that Florida State's there first. And they're saying, yeah, man, you're not going to have to play with 5 McDonald's All-Americans. You're going to get a lot of shots. Same thing with Beasley. You're going to get the start as a freshman. You're going to get a lot of shots. Beasley was also a little bit under the radar coming up until his senior year. So they did what they did a great job of was evaluating kids that they could get early. That's why they were in on it with Anthony Edwards so late. That's why they were in on it with Wiggins. They started these relationships before those guys were huge superstars because they had a really good eye for talent. That's what they did with Devin Vassell. Yep. They had a really good eye for talent, that particular coaching staff. And they got on them early when they were freshmen, and they developed those relationships. And back in the olden days, Aslan, like 2019, that stuff mattered. I don't know that it matters anymore. I don't. Especially when it comes to the portal. Because how do you develop a relationship in the span of 2 weeks? You don't.
You don't, yeah.
Yeah. So NIL does matter. Playing time matters. Style of play matters. Am I going to win? All that matters. And look, saying that, I'm not saying that Florida State won't be competitive with NIL. I wouldn't think a kid from LaSalle who averaged 11 points per game is going to get Caitlin Clark money. I think you can afford, sorry to use that parlance, but you can't. It's the truth. You can afford somebody like that. You can afford a guard from Georgetown. And you need them. You need these players, man. You pony up. Pony up, whoever's listening to this that wants to see the basketball team good again. Pony up.
What if they got Hunter Dickinson? That'd be amazing, right?
Can you look him up while I talk about this? Because I think they were in on him for a good long while. I think he's the kid I'm thinking of that Leonard talked to me. Well, I know. Can I even say this now? Because he's a recruitable athlete again. But when they were recruiting, I think he's out of like the D.C. area.
Maryland, Hyattsville, yeah. DeMatha. He went to DeMatha.
Yeah, I swear Florida State was in on him, and they were in the final 2 or 3 and really thought they were going to get him. And then he chose Michigan.
He visited September 12th. I'm sorry to interrupt, but he visited Florida State, one of his official visits when he was a recruit.
Yeah, so I was right. Yeah, they really came close to getting him. And I remember at the time Leonard saying, yeah, man, he is as skilled as you could possibly imagine. He's not a great rim protector, which is true. We've watched him play now, but he's a really skilled offensive guy. He's a great rebounder. So they were in on him way back when. So I don't know, man. I mean, I just assume he's going to Carolina. It'll be like a trade for Caleb Love. That's college basketball in 2023 now. But yeah, man, that would be awesome if they got Hunter Dickinson because I think they finished second for him coming out of high school.
Also on the basketball news dump here, Caleb Mills committed to Memphis.
Yeah.
Raekwon Gray has signed a 2-way contract with the Nets. Shout out to Todd Wilder.
Well, no, so he
tweeting
played.
that at us.
Yeah, he played.
G League. It was G League.
Well, no, he played an NBA game on Sunday. His
Oh,
first
did
ever
he
NBA
actually?
game. Yeah,
All right,
he had
sorry.
He had 16 points, 9
Let's
rebounds, and
go!
7 assists.
Let's go, Raekwon. All right.
Yep. That was really cool to see. They lost by 30, but I don't care. Raekwon, no matter what happens the rest of the way, Raekwon gets to say that he played in an NBA game. He's an NBA player, and had a good day. Almost had a triple double in his only playing action of the last 2 seasons. That's really cool, man. Right?
Absolutely, man.
That's a guy that took so much grief for a couple of years here, and with good reason. He'd make some crazy turnovers, and was out of shape when he got here, but really kind of turned his career and life around by getting into that kind of shape. And now he's an NBA player, and maybe, he had a really good year in the G League. Maybe he can become a role player on an NBA team somewhere. Maybe if it's not the Nets, it's somewhere else. But yeah, man, that was cool to see. My man is an NBA player. That's really neat.
And if you were with us last week, random_John asked us if there was a movie made about the basketball team, like what would you name it? I should have reminded you, Corey, to start brainstorming while we were on break here. But somebody came into the DMs. I think his name is Josh. Bad Noles Bears is what his name is.
Okay.
Are you ready for the name?
Oh, I thought that was his name for the movie.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's clever. I want to stop the show and end it on this.
Okay, got it.
Losers.
Oh boy, that's a good name for a movie about people that lose.
Right?
Too. Yeah, like a podunk town somewhere in Manitoba. This group of scrappy little kids, all of a sudden they became a great losing school, and you just call them losers. My team's out on the floor. My team's in the pipe. Whatever they do, whatever they call those things on the luge. Yeah, but I came up with one, Aslan. It wasn't a great one, but I said super duper bad.
Okay, right.
That was my name. But losers is the winner.
Yeah.
But let's not. I don't want to make too much fun of Leonard and his program. They've given us a lot of good times over the years, but that is a very clever name.
Baseball lost their series. Let's celebrate softball. Corey mentioned.
Hey, they ended the losing streak though.
They did. That's right. The 10-game losing streak
so
ended.
They've only now lost 12 of 13, and I don't know, 13 of their last 7. I don't know what it is. 16 of the last 18. What are you gonna do? Who can keep count anymore? But yeah, softball team, man, they're just doing what they do, going to Clemson and winning all 3. That was all. And if people are wondering. Hopefully, I think Lonnie would have availability at some point this week. I know this is in the weeds, but Devin Flaherty is a very good college softball player. In that win on, I guess was it Friday that they won? Friday they won the finale of the series, pull out the sweep. She did something pretty serious to her shoulder.
Oh no!
I don't know if it was a separation or a dislocation, but she dove back into second and was in pain immediately. Didn't even want to stand up. They took her off the field. They wrapped her shoulder in a huge bag of ice, and she looked to be pretty emotional in the dugout. That's a big loss because she's a very, very important player. But hopefully it's they got good news this weekend, and she'll only be out for a short amount of time, and it's not like a 2 or 3 month deal. But, yeah, it looked bad, so hopefully it isn't as bad as it looked. But either way, great win. Great win and great pitching.
So apparently the sweep over Clemson, that was the first top 5 road series win in school history.
Which is kind of like that's not – I get it that you'd be like, wow, that seems crazy. You would have thought Florida State's one of the best schools in the country.
It's an indictment on this conference, not us.
Yeah, it's not. That's exactly what I was going to say. They don't play a lot of top 5 teams outside of – the top 5 teams they play, and they schedule well – but they're in those preseason tournaments.
Yeah, neutral.
They don't go to UCLA and play 3 games. They don't typically go to they did this year. They went to Oklahoma State, but they don't typically go to Oklahoma or Oklahoma State and play those 3 games.
It was their 5th win over a top 5 team this season, and they're now 7-0 against Clemson all time. So
Yeah, how about that, man?
There we go.
That's crazy. So, and Clemson was 36-1 before that series, and now they're 36-4.
Hey, Dabo, we coming.
Yeah. That's softball's not gonna be the only thing that Florida State
We coming.
is beating Clemson in.
All right, we're done, but we got plenty more going on over at warchant.com. I think Jeff Cameron's show returns to the airwaves. Shoot, they were doing a Friday show, man. Jeff works. Him and Tom. 1 to 3 o'clock live on Warchant TV as well as 93.3 FM. And then the Monday Smash, 7 p.m. Check that one out. We'll be back with a live show. You want to do it Tuesday, Corey? You want to shake hands on it, or you want to do Thursday?
I'd rather do it Tuesday, I think.
We're going to do it Tuesday. 6 o'clock?
We can't. There's practice.
Oh, it's practice. Yeah, we do it after practice. Sorry, everybody. I thought this was the last one. All right, after practice. So, like, after dark, like 8:30. 8:30. Warchant After Dark, live Tuesday night. Corey and myself. Recruiting chat Wednesday, 6 p.m. Thursday, we'll have probably something. Friday, golf tournament. I don't. Can people even sign up? I don't think so. It's probably full.
No, it's full.
Sorry. Hey, next year, though. There's always next year.
Yep.
We'll see you on the next show, everybody. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.